Hello. Today I will be talking to you guys about one of the most effective martial arts the world has ever known, and that is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Time and time again, since its inception, BJJ has proven to be one of the most effective and critically important martial arts for martial artists around the world. It has taken the world by storm since its arrival on martial arts scene, and to give you guys a better understanding of this, I will first be discussing the history briefly of BJJ. I will explain how it became known and dominant in the martial arts world, and I will be explaining the key difference it has compared to other martial arts around the world. So, a brief look at the history of BJJ. It all started with a man named Carlos Gracie. He was a student of Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and Judo, and he decided to share his learned knowledge to his brothers, the youngest of which, a man named Helio Gracie, who is considered to be the grandfather of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, was a very small and frail man, and he, in fact, so much so that by doctor's orders, he was not allowed to train martial arts with his brothers. He instead had to sit on the sidelines and watch as Carlos Gracie shared his knowledge and trained with his brothers. But this did not stop Helio's interest in the martial arts, and instead allowed him to look at them through a lens of leverage and technique. Helio could not perform some of the more athletic and strength-driven techniques, but instead had to focus, like I said, on leverage. So over the years, this led to the basis of what is now known as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Helio refined his techniques and practiced them, and brought to the world a system that was tailored for a person of a smaller build, tailored towards technique over power. Now, this new martial art, coined, as I've said many times, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, spread amongst the Gracie family and amongst Brazil as a whole. The Gracie family would accept challenge matches from people of other martial arts, and more often than not, they would come out victorious. And BJJ was first introduced to the United States during the first Ultimate Fighting Championship on November 12, 1993, showcasing a BJJ fighter named Royce Gracie. Now, Royce Gracie also was quite a smaller man compared to those on the roster of UFC, but still managed to win the first, second, and fourth Ultimate Fighting Championships. His smaller stature, combined with this display of a new, unique martial art, caused many fighters across America and across the world to take interest in BJJ. And now, if you look at the current state of the UFC, nearly every single fighter has at least some knowledge of Jiu-Jitsu, as it is essential, and most are very proficient at it. And this is just because of the pure effectiveness and the unique aspect of it. It is very different and very crucial for fighters to know and to be able to defend against. So what makes BJJ so effective and different compared to other martial arts? Well, it consists almost entirely of ground-based techniques. And then what that means is that a BJJ fighter must take their opponent to the ground in order to implement the techniques. It is similar to wrestling in that way, except wrestling is more sport-based, and the objective is to pin an opponent's shoulders on the mat for an allotted time. I think it is 3 seconds, where Jiu-Jitsu is more self-defense and fight-winning oriented. Instead of trying to pin your opponent, they're trying to finish the fight or defend themselves in an effective way. Now, they do that by either gaining a dominant position in which they can strike their opponent effectively and they cannot strike back, or putting their opponent into various submission holds, which consist of joint locks or chokes or things like this, which can either cause an opponent to submit, hence submission holds, or they will face serious injury. And that is what primarily differentiates Jiu-Jitsu from other martial arts. And when it first began, no other martial arts had seen this before. They were not familiar with a ground fighting method like this. So because of that, it was very effective. They were not used to it. They had never seen it before. They did not know how to defend against it. So it naturally was just a dominant force in the beginnings of the Ultimate Fighting Championship and the martial arts world as a whole. And so, in conclusion, BJJ has a rich and important history that explains its unique composition and leverage-based techniques. And Jiu-Jitsu took the world by storm in the early UFCs with the fighter Royce Gracie. And he proved the effectiveness time and time again of this unique style of martial arts and cemented it as a prominent force in the martial arts world. Now, to broaden the scope onto things beyond the martial arts world, it is fascinating how when looking at a problem or looking at a system or an industry through a different perspective, a different lens, it can allow for innovation, and it can often allow for innovation that is better than the previous model. In fact, in this case, it became so prominent that it is one of the most widely known and effective martial arts in the world, and that can be applied to many different facets. So I think it is important to try to look at problems through different perspectives and different lenses. Thank you.